Hello, this is Athena again here, and Haresa is on the table. What we're going to show you today is the technique of working with the subtle anatomy, finding the subtle anatomy with your hand, and also then working with the energy, how to back out of the anatomy a little bit, and direct energy into the space that you want to send the energy to. So I guess you could call it more like directing energy. And it's a very fascinating thing to do. It's very subtle as normal. Everything I do is subtle. So it's also very hard to see. You can't really see it, and it's hard to explain. So there may be some interaction with Harissa and me on what she's feeling. So I'm going to start with her hand, just putting it up there, and I'm going to go to the diaphragm releases. So my first hand is going to go underneath to that sacral area. And my hand is flat underneath there, very flat. It's across the SI joint. And the knuckle part of the fingers is where I feel the sacrum. So I'm letting her sink into my hand. I'm not pushing up on the hand. I'm just letting her sink in until I feel the tissues begin to they kind of wiggle around a little bit, they move, they undulate a little bit. And that's when you're starting to feel the subtle anatomy. So you just wait for that to come. And then we can go with subtle anatomy like we have shown with the hand across the top of the body. I can already hear some stuff going on. So we're already opening things up at a subtle level. But here we're just going to be dealing with subtle anatomy and subtle anatomy. So what I want to show you is how to direct energy into that. So where my hand is, I'm going to direct energy in because there's been a little bit of tension and a little bit of soreness in her abdomen. So to do that is I'm going to be finding a spot, and I can't really tell you how you're going to find the spot. It's kind of like a magnet feeling, or there's just an intuitive place that it takes you to. And this is where I'm landing right here. And when I put my fingers on top of it here, I can feel I am directing energy into the back hand. So I'm just finding the energy line. And when I find it, there's a lot of activity that begins to happen in the bottom hand. So right here is where that energy is. Now to direct it in, there's different ways you can hold your hand, but I like to just, for now, hold it upward. And I'm directing energy through my fingers down into the palm area of my hand that's beneath her. And just holding it there. And now what I'm feeling is tissue is beginning to unwind deep in the abdominal cavity, and where it's attached back to the back of the sacral bone. And that's where I feel most of the activity going on. Now, what is important with transferring this is that the tendency is when you're directing energy into the body is to like push into it, but you really don't want to push into it at all. You want to actually get lighter. So you're going in a little bit and connecting with the tissue, and then you're backing out. And you're feeling that energy stream going in. After you get really good at it, you can actually feel that you're maybe off the body half an inch or so, and it feels like you're on the body because you can feel so much activity coming through that energy. Now there's a lot of activity. There was a little jump that just happened on the top. And what my hand is doing is, the top hand is the energy is wanting to twist. It's really the subtle body, the subtle anatomy that's twisting, but the energy is going with it. So I'm just going with it.
I can feel that going down my right leg.
She's feeling it going down the right leg, so that is a pretty dynamic maneuver. And does it feel sharp, or is it just a sensation?
It's like a stretching sensation.
Okay. The energy is running down her leg. It's not super scientific. in the way that we assess it, but she's having the experience of it, and I'm feeling similar things. So it's more of an experiential type of conclusion that we come to, that there is something being done, even though it doesn't have any way of really being measured. Now, there's a little gurgle that just happened in the intestinal tract, little sound of peristalsis going on. And what I'm doing is I'm directing a lot of energy down through my fingers, and it's catching into the back. My backhand is not doing anything but allowing her to lay on it. I'm not pushing upward with it. I am moving with the tissue as it's unwinding. It is a slight bit of movement, probably not even visible movement, but it feels pretty big. And you can hear the gurgle happening. That breath there was a big release of something inside of her. And when that happened, the energy is like pushing my finger away from her, like this little episode here thing is done for right now.
I don't feel it as much in the right leg anymore.
So, and there's the validation of what I was feeling, and her validation is that the leg is changing back to not having that sensation.